Cut.
Cut. Hello and welcome to Meet Your Inspiration podcast with Mary and Rich. Here we're talking about inspiration, motivation, and empowerment. Our guests are ordinary people who became extraordinary, and with sharing their stories, we want to empower you to become the person you want to be and to go beyond your dreams.
This morning we have our special guest, Melissa, who lives down in Folkestone. And as you can see, she's all the way from the Philippines and she's got a lot of excitement to share with us. So welcome, Melissa. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me, and allow me to start with my little nickname. I call it Mel. So my Instagram is Mel in the UK. Now, why is it Mel? Because Mel stands for my extraordinary life in the UK.
There it is, the right person, the right place. I'll give you a little bit background story. We know Melissa, obviously. I'm literally meeting Melissa now, right at this moment. Richard had a few chats with her.
I did.
So we are all very excited to learn a lot about you, but the start is quite promising. We've got an extraordinary person with us. So tell us what you're doing at the moment. What's in your life at the moment?
All right. So obviously, do you want me to start from
or
the
if you
very
want,
beginning?
start from the beginning, however you feel okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So probably it's best for me to start with how I came here in the UK.
Yeah, that'd be
okay. So originally, I'm in the Philippines. I grew up in the travel and tourism industry. And my dad actually coined the word visa assistance in the 1960s, back in the day when they call it paralegal assistance. And in the Philippines, if you say the word paralegal, it doesn't sound nice. It says parang illegal. So it sounds something illegal.
Wow.
Okay. So with that term, he introduced, I call it like a blue ocean of service. Because during the time, we help Filipinos get visas to America. And a lot of Filipinos are migrating to America basically because obviously some of them are workers, nurses like that, teachers like that. And obviously once one relative gets there, they tend to petition the rest of the family. So that's how our travel agency started. It started with helping people. And during the time, obviously my dad is also established one of the first travel agencies in the Philippines. So in the 1960s, the Philippines is really sort of like geared towards international travel. And yeah, so that's my little background. And then as early as 2004, when I finished my master's degree, I told my mom our business will cease to exist in the future. She went mental on me, called me a black sheep, like that. I said, not being funny, but when all the information is already available online, there's no business. So that's what I told her, And then I did skills assessment. I said I cannot sing, I cannot dance, I cannot cook. What can I do? Maybe I can teach, I said. So I started a career in tourism education. And then while teaching in different universities, I call it my campus tour. I also did a lot of events, whether it's community events, political events.
But it's something that you wanted to
it came naturally, I think, because obviously when you are in the travel, you're also organizing tours, And I remember when I was young, the first time I organized a party was my birthday party, and I was 8.
Oh, wow. Fantastic.
So how I came here, I organized the first Filipino to swim the English Channel, where I co-organized it. So I got the sponsors, we got the Turkish Airlines, the Marriott Hotel for the launch, like that.
So how you get to these names?
Sorry?
How did you get to these companies?
To this company.
Yes.
So
to reach out to those guys. Yeah.
Okay, because I usually volunteer. I mean, I'm part of, we call it the Tourism Educators and Movers Philippines. So it's like a nationwide group of tourism educators, and it is led by my mentor. His name is Bobby Joseph. He already passed away, but he's well connected in the travel and tourism industry, and he is the honorary consul of Latvia.
Wow.
So like that. He has that title. And I remember he told me when he was young, he interned for my dad. So because my dad also had a network of
Mhm.
association of travel agents like that during the time. So it's sort of like giving back. So it's like he also sort of like in a way, trained me, and we always get different invites to top end events, diplomatic events. So
Wow.
I get to talk to, the country manager of Qatar Airways, like that. We attend similar events. Let's say the country manager of Canon, the camera.
Mhm.
And one time, it's so funny. So I help volunteer with the sort of like country day of Austria, like that. I forgot what the exact term was. It was at the house of the ambassador of Austria in one of the poshest village in the Philippines. And the special guest there was the former president of the Philippines. He also passed away. We call him FVR, Fidel V. Ramos. It so happened that he knows my mom. Yes. So anyway, I cut the long story short. He introduced me to all of the my apo, it's like my granddaughter, like that. And obviously I had to usher him because he's a bit old already, like that. So I helped him like that. And then for some odd reason, I met the country manager of Canon, and I was holding on to a Lumix camera. And obviously, he wanted a photo, probably. And I'm the only one with the camera. So he told me, "Can you take my picture? But I will sponsor you a Canon camera. You write me a letter, I'll give you one."
Ooh.
So I got, so since then, I remember if I had an event, whether it's with the Climate Change Commission, whatever, they would sponsor, whether a printer, a camera, like that for my events. So I'm really very grateful. Obviously, he already retired, but so because I'm known and I take probably nice photos, and I'm the only one with the camera,
Mhm.
and I call it tangibilizing the intangible.
Mm,
So how would you know that, oh, I've met this person, if you don't have proof?
mm.
And the reason why I always take photos is because there was one time I was me and my sister, we went to America. And then I told her, "Oh my god, I looked back. I said, that's Sean William Scott. Do you know Sean William Scott? He's the guy from the American Pie. His name is Stifler."
Oh, okay. Yes.
So
Now we know. who
yeah,
it is.
so Stifler. I told my sister, "Oh my god, Ethel, it's so I had my camera already ready, ready to take a picture." And then because we were in the airport, she said, "Did you know that all white people, they all look alike?" So just like like black people, they also look alike. Jay-Z, Tupac, they all look alike. So maybe you must be mistaken. So, and she also told me, although she's younger, she's like telling me off. And then she also said that, "Remember, you must be composed because we are in another country. We are in America. You don't want to be in the headlines, Filipino taking picture and caught in the immigration, whatever, because of taking, silly photos in the airport." So I believed her.
So you never took the picture?
I didn't.
No.
And then, when we passed by the security, there's this security airport officer. He said, "Oh my God, isn't that guy from the American Pie?" So when I heard it, I looked at my sister. I was so angry. It's like I can feel my blood, like rushing. And then I said, "We have to run, but obviously we didn't catch him.
Of course.
So now it's just a legend.
But yeah, the thing is that you took your lesson.
Yeah,
Take your photos.
so now my sister takes loads of photos as well. And another lesson that made me, really take photos. But so it's the World Trade Center. So I went to America because I graduated with honors, and it was like my graduation gift to go to US and Canada. So when we went to New York, Okay, the World Trade Center. So I was it the Battery Park? You know,
Yes.
you ride the boat like that,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then you know
yeah.
they take the photos like that. So my photo, I didn't know. I took a photo. They took a photo, and then the World Trade Center at the back, but it's like this. So it's no good.
But at least you've got it.
Yeah, but oh my goodness, it's like how can I show it?
Do you
So,
still have the picture?
huh?
Do you still
I
have the
think
picture?
so.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
I will ask my daughter to find it
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it was in an album.
Oh,
You know, so and obviously the World Trade Center is no longer there,
No.
you
no,
know.
no,
But
absolutely.
that's why it's good that at least
Yeah,
you've got
yeah.
it.
Yeah,
So
You've been
now
there.
I check.
Mm,
Are you happy with the picture?
But
oh,
this is the good thing nowadays that obviously this is the moment.
Yeah,
You
with the
can have
technology.
hundreds of photos on one thing and until you are happy with what it is. But in the next moment, I don't think we value them that much
Yeah.
as before.
Yeah.
So now I
Unfortunately.
call it, we now live in a selfie generation.
Mm.
yeah, we
You
do.
see?
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's no excuse for you not to take a selfie.
Mhm.
And a lot of people, I remember when I first came here, when I organized that first Filipino to swim the English Channel, I
Mhm.
presented in BNI. You know, I was a visitor, and then I said, "Oh, this is the event that I'm doing." Blah blah blah. And then obviously I was taking selfies. It's like I look weird. It's like, why are you taking photos? You know? So I had to explain, you know. And obviously, I think it's a Filipino thing to always take photos
Mm.
because obviously, when we travel, before we get to travel, we have to apply for so much visas, you know.
Mhm.
So we
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to apply for a visa here. And it's so hard to get a visa if you're just a regular Filipino, you
Yeah, yeah,
see.
yeah, yeah.
So we treasure every moment, you
Absolutely.
know.
Yeah, yeah.
To-
Wherever you go.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
So and I think here because you have like nice places, a lot of probably British or people just take it for granted.
Mm.
But these are the sceneries we don't have in the Philippines, you
Absolutely,
see?
yeah.
So it is something that we also bring home and then show to our friends. Oh, look this, look at that, you know, been here, been that.
And it's the same, I guess. I mean, for us, if we if we went to the Philippines, I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I mean the beaches
The
and the
beach,
colours
yeah.
and the
Oh.
and yeah, like the sort of the jungle sort of like
Yeah.
background and stuff. And it's amazing.
Exactly. And I remember when the first time I went to London, that was 1997. Now the reason why I went there is because I won a Manila Heathrow Manila first class ticket via Philippine Airlines.
Wow, that was
Yeah.
a good prize.
And then I wanted to take a picture at the Tower Bridge. And then my friend said, "Why do you want to have a picture on the bridge?" I said, "But isn't this the London Bridge?" you know? And he said, "Yeah, I know, but it's a bridge."
But it's a good bridge.
Yeah. So anyway, so those are anyway.
It's unique in the world.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how I came here.
Yeah.
So obviously you co-organize that event.
Mhm.
And which doors open for you? How you end
So
up coming here?
also fortunately, I met my partner, and he was one of the sponsors.
Oh wow.
And then probably he got, what do I call it? Love at first sight.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
know. So yeah. So we kept in touch, and then he would invite me again like that, and then we just
You had
fell in
your-
love,
yeah.
and then we had a baby, and then that
Ah.
was it.
Yeah,
And then I had to look after the baby, and it was only in 2022 when I actively became part of his company, because I was the
Okay.
director for Martello Building Consultancy,
Okay.
but it wasn't an active role up until our daughter started primary school.
Mhm.
So,
So what is the company for?
the first company is Martello Building Consultancy. It's been in the industry for I think around 13 years. So he usually project manages different projects, whether it's affordable housing for the Dover District Council, whether it's an NHS project. So let's say part of our clientele would include S Review Medical Center, Sandwich Medical Practice, and things
Okay.
like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So and in Folkestone, he project managed the regeneration of the Harbor Arm,
This is a
the
huge
tea
project.
room. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and I think this year is also going to be part of the triennial for next year. So they're currently building
Yeah.
on that. So that's for the Martello side.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And during the pandemic, he told me, "What will happen? There's no one wanted to work because of furlough like that,
Mhm.
and work has to be done."
Yeah.
So I told him, "Oh, don't worry." I said, because I also had another company, it's Interns Online. So I provide work experience for students in the Philippines to work online
Okay.
to
Oh, that's
British
interesting.
Yeah, it's amazing.
companies. So obviously it's a company, but it doesn't regularly get income, basically because it's seasonal. It just depends when the interns would apply, and then
Yes.
I would
Yeah.
place them like that. So when my friend here in the UK found out about my company, her name is Belle. She said, "Oy, Mel, my daughter is an architect. Could she be an intern for your company, Martello?" So I said, "You know what? Why not?"
Yeah.
So I said, "Give me the CV." So I checked the CV. I said, "Okay, let's change it. Okay, let's do it skills based, because here what is important is your skill. It
Skills.
doesn't matter, your team building, whatever,
Yeah.
your good
Yeah.
relation, hard working. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter." I said,
Yeah.
what is important is the skills, the software that your daughter is using. So I did it. I told her to use the template that I have, and then when she changed it, that's the time I forwarded it to Andy, and then I said these are the skills that she can do. And obviously, because she's been an architect for a long time in the Philippines, so she's like RIBA sort of like
So
qualified.
this is a friend of yours from Philippines, not from here. She's
So
from
she's-
Philippines, and
No,
she
she's my Filipino friend.
Yeah.
Yes.
So she's married to a British. Her name
they
is Belle
live
Drake.
here.
Lives in
Ah,
Hype,
okay.
Okay.
but has a daughter in the Philippines.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
like that.
Who
Yeah.
obviously need this work experience.
Yes,
But
yes, because her original goal was, if at least she would get work experience, her profile would be, on a higher level
Yeah.
as compared with the other architects out
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
whose work experience is just limited in the
Mm.
Philippines. Within 2 weeks, she got hired. The pay is also British,
which is fantastic for
Yeah. So from then on, so she got trained, with the British standard, how the British people work, she's already well versed with Andy's accent, and things like
Wow.
that. So Andy thought we can also extend that service to other similar clients,
Yeah.
requiring
Mhm.
drawings.
Yes.
And that's how the company KPO
Oh.
started. And
Yeah.
KPO actually stands for Knowledge Process Outsourcing, because in the Philippines, it has been a long industry wherein which we provide services to clients abroad.
Yeah.
And the best thing about this is that due to our time difference, while we're sleeping, our team in the Philippines, they're working on it.
And
So
after
when we
that, you
wake up,
carry on here the work. So
sorry.
after that, here you carry on the
Yeah.
work.
So let's say the brief was sent probably like Monday afternoon from the UK side. It was sent to the Philippines. So when they wake up, it's around maybe 10 o'clock in the evening, our evening.
Yeah.
And then obviously they would be working on it. So by the time they sleep, it's already there.
Yeah.
They would be sending it to us probably at like late afternoon.
Yeah.
And then when we wake up, we can comment already.
Yeah.
So whether there's any revision or not. So yeah, and we are targeting to provide similar services to architects, engineers, M&E contractors, even demolition contractors or joineries, because we can also provide nice CGIs,
Okay.
so that, and I found out one nice service that we can also provide is, I call it virtual staging of properties. So let's say you take a picture of this room,
Yep.
and it's blank.
Yep.
You can we can, let's say, oh Mel, maybe you can put, like little furnitures here, make put like a little decor to make it really look nicer when you
So a
probably.
plain room could literally look completely decorated in whatever style you want. Wow.
Yeah, but obviously you just have to tell us
Yeah, amazing.
how it looks like.
Yeah.
So, and obviously the rate would be cheaper
Yeah.
than having it done here in the UK, but obviously higher than
In
what
the Philippines.
higher than the Philippine rate.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so like that. So it's like I call it a win-win situation.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely.
It is, sounds
yeah.
like.
Yeah.
What about these people who are is there anyone obviously wanting to move to UK at some point after having this work experience, or how are you finding it?
Okay, so currently I think there is no sort of like visa for internship. So yet we had a discussion about that yesterday with our MP Tony Von, because we had a meeting at the Burlington Hotel, and then they were saying that the owners of the Burlington, Dan and Chris, was saying that before they also used to get students from Europe
Yeah,
for
of
work
course.
experience
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
to their hotel,
Yeah.
performing sort of like work,
Yep.
and it doesn't cost much.
Mm.
They provide the bed, the board, and a little allowance.
Mm.
But that's for work experience.
Yeah,
And in reality, work experience, I really believe, I can put my hand into my heart, it's really important for students.
It is.
Of course,
Yeah,
it is.
it is.
And
really
it's
valuable.
also, obviously important for the companies or the business,
Yeah.
basically because it also like helps them,
Yeah.
because it's also their time training,
Mm.
training the future
Generations.
generation.
Exactly.
And that is exactly the angle also that I am eyeing with my other company, Interns Online. But obviously for KPO, one thing nice about it is that we also employ a young generation of highly skilled they're not students, they're already like graduates,
Mhm.
graduates,
Yes.
or qualified like that.
Yeah.
But obviously they just need more experience.
Yeah, that's the key. When to build the experience is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And
So
how
that
you
takes the
find
next level.
that? Are you easily finding companies here that want to join?
So obviously when we started, it's like there's skepticism about it. It's like, you would, but now, I think I now get calls, Mel, we're ready. It's like
Mm.
we're or probably the best approach is that when they're already overworked, or they're, as if you manage a company, there are projects, and sometimes all of a sudden you have these spikes, and recruitment is a challenge,
Mhm.
Yeah.
here in the UK. So instead of recruiting, we can outsource it, So, and I think outsourcing is now much more acceptable, because I also have friends here in the UK. You can outsource the marketing team with them. You can outsource the HR team with them. It's like, why not outsource, the drawing, the digital part of it?
Yeah.
But
It's
how
just,
you find then, because if it's more and more outsourcing, is here coming the moment where you start to have this, why you keep pushing this way when people here probably doesn't have work? Have you heard this from
yeah,
somewhere?
of course. I've heard of it, but obviously I always say there's always gap in the market, and it's much more cost efficient. So you can spend on recruitment if you like. You can recruit, how many people if you like,
Yeah.
or you can just outsource it. And
Yeah.
I am here to sort of like educate people that it's much more convenient. It doesn't give you any headache. If you have a problem, you just let us know, and then we'll sort it out for you. So
And I guess the people are, as well, you're bringing in, they've got obviously really good qualifications
yeah,
and good
of course,
experience,
of
and
course.
and they're really at the top of their game as well.
Yes.
That makes a
and
big difference.
and that's also one angle that I also would want, because there are certain skills or probably like programs that is not yet available in the Philippines, that I also want to sort of like let the government know about it, so that they can prepare the next generation students for that kind of level of services.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it works both ways.
Yes.
It's not always one way.
One-sided.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Something that you mentioned earlier on our conversation before starting the episode was obviously there is lots of outsourcing in UK and not only in UK or worldwide.
Yeah, worldwide.
But you said that something good for your company is that you've got an office based in UK,
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
which makes people a bit more probably confident.
Yeah.
Yes, because I'm not gonna lie, since we started this project, the amount of emails that we receive from here and there about people all over the world that want to help us, I'll be honest that I don't trust these emails coming like that from, because half of them most probably are spam emails and half of them probably are right ones. But it's difficult
Yeah, you to find
to
out
decide.
which is
And I'm
good and which is
thinking
bad.
no until
Yeah.
I
Okay, so for me, my answer for that would be, because of my roots, my connection. I'm also well connected in the Philippines.
Yeah.
I have a network there. If I need something, I know who to call.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So if I need to check who is this legit? Is this like that?
Yeah.
I have connections with the police, with the government, with the schools, with universities, name it, I've got it.
Yeah.
I mean, makes the things much more secure and
Yeah.
better. Because
And when we recommend someone, obviously, it's like when you recommend a person, you also give yourself away, your
Yeah.
reputation
Absolutely,
away.
it's vital.
So when we make sure that, let's say, the staff will be assigned to this person or to do the job, we are guaranteed that
Yep.
she will deliver.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like my face or my reputation is also with you. If not, I will tell you to your mom. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
so obviously
yeah.
back in the time you studied travel and tourism, let's say.
Yeah. No,
Back in
I
the
didn't
Philippines.
study tourism. I grew up in the travel.
You
industry.
just grew up.
Yeah,
So
because my course for college or university, we call it Bachelor of Arts in Interdisciplinary Studies.
Wow.
And no one
Okay.
understood what interdisciplinary
Yeah, yeah.
studies is. So it's like sort of like international studies, political science, and things
okay.
like that. Because when I was young, in reality, I wanted to become an ambassador.
Okay.
So
Of
I
the
said,
Philippines.
yeah. So I wanted to work for the foreign service,
Yeah.
but because when when you're young, you think you're really smart. I said just stock knowledge like that. So when the foreign service exam came, I partied the night before. So and then the test center was a bit difficult to find. So to cut the long story short, I arrived late. So obviously, how can I pass the test if I arrived late? So I said, I cannot go, because I said there's 3 ways. So the first one is to become an ambassador, you must rise from the ranks. So you must be part of the diplomatic service.
Yep.
So the first step there is to pass the test.
Yeah.
So which I didn't. Number 2, to pay. Because obviously, if you help probably the president with the campaign, sort of like buy your way through.
Yeah.
So obviously, I don't have that capacity,
Yeah.
Or the third one, you can just have friends, be an influencer
Yeah.
like that. So I said, maybe I will just maintain, on this,
The third one.
the third
Yeah, yeah.
option. So I'm not losing hope, because, me, if I aim for the sky, so this is the ambassador. If I can be a brand ambassador, So in my younger days, probably like 30, when I was 30, there was an advert. It says New York, Paris, Tokyo. And it's for a shampoo.
Mhm.
So I said, I have nice hair, I think. I've been to New York. I've been to Tokyo. The only one that I wanted to go is to Paris. And I said, I want to travel for free. My brother said, you're crazy. I said,
Maybe.
And then I read the requirements. What is, the qualification? It only says photo with a shampoo. That was it. So when I was the executive director for North Philippines Visitors Bureau, I also had two other staff. One is the marketing manager, the other one is the operations. We all have long hair. So among ourselves, we already agreed, I will go to Paris. I said, you will go to Tokyo, you will go to New York. Let's all join it. Yeah, because it's me. I'm always collaborative.
Yeah.
And then the first one said, oh, Miss Mel. They call me Miss Mel. So, oh, Miss Mel, I'm so sorry. We'll not win this. I said, really? Why? She said, oh, I'm going to wear my terno. This is like the terno, the Filipiniana. And then she would say, she would hold sunsilk. And then the background is the church, historic church like that. So I said, oh my gosh, I never thought about, the background and how the the shot would be composed like that. So I said, oh my gosh, I never thought of that. The other one said, Miss Mel, ang boyfriend ko, it's like my boyfriend, is a photographer of ABS-CBN. It's like the #1 TV channel.
Wow.
So it's like, oh my gosh, I never thought I would be needing a photographer as well. So in my mind, it's like Googling. So the third option. So the first option that I thought about was my brother, because my brother is good at taking photos. And then I said, if people ask me, oh, who took your photo? I said, my brother. It doesn't sound nice. And then there's another option that I could get a free photo shoot. My friend from church, we call him Brother Eric, and the surname is Kalugdan. So his business is Kalugdan Photo. So if people ask me, oh, who took your photo? Oh, Kalugdan Photo. It doesn't also sound nice, So obviously, but obviously, Brother Eric did a photo shoot after for me for Sunset. So anyway, to cut the long story short, I said, oh my God, Lord. They already said, I will not win, I haven't even, had a photo taken yet. Who will be my photographer? So I opened my Facebook. The first feed that came out was a photographer. And then there's a model there. Oh yeah, his name is he takes pictures for models. So out of the blue, I just sent him a message. Oh hi, they remember me, can you do me a favor? I said, yes, what? Can you take me a photo for what? For Sunsilk? He even asked, are you for real? And then I said, oh, I want my photo to be taken in the Manila Ocean Park, so it looks like the Santa Monica Pier, like that. He said, oh, no, he won't go that far. He said, just take it in the nearby park. I said, really? But I said, it's like a public park. It doesn't, I don't like public parks. And then he said, well, that's your only choice. Because he said he only has like a window of, I think, 1 hour to take a photo. So, okay, so I said, okay, fine. I have no choice. And then I said, so how am I going to pose? He just told me to just stand there. Stand there. I said, really? Stand there. And then, so I stood there. I wasn't even holding the shampoo. It was just there. And then all of a sudden, he said, we cannot do the photo shoot. I said, really? Why? We just came here. We just arrived. And then he said, because there's no sun. Look. Really? I said, but it's not raining, He said, it's not good in the photo. So I got frustrated. I just sat on a sort of like, not a rock, but sort of like like a little like pedestal or something like that. So I just sat there. And then I just lift up my hand. Lord, parawin niyo na po. It's like, Lord, make the sunshine. Within 2 minutes, within maybe like 1 minute, the sun is already there. And then he said, the sun is there. So I said, oh my God, what am I gonna do? So I did like that. So my position was like that. And then I was too shy to hold on to the shampoo, because a lot of people now there was crowding and then
see what's going on.
Yeah. And then because he had this big camera like that, I would hear people saying, oh, hindi na pala si Sarah Geronimo yung model ng Sunsilk. It's like, Sarah Geronimo is not the Sunsilk model. She is. It's like, oh my God, I felt so embarrassed. And then, obviously, and then he said, that's it. I said, that's it? It's
Wow.
like, within 2 minutes? That's it? And then he said, yeah. So I asked, how many photos did you take? 80.
Oh my
I
God.
said, 80? It should be 300. You know, if it was me, it would be 300, like that. And then he said, oh, no. That's enough. So obviously, I'm not a photographer. It's my first time to sort of like have that kind of photo shoot. So I said, I just trust you.
Yeah.
So come Monday, he sent me a message. He said, we have a problem. So I said, what's the problem? I'm holding my breath. And then he said, don't get mad at me. I said, was the photo deleted? He said, no. So what is the problem? If the photo is there and it was not deleted, what is the problem? He said, of all the photos, he said, there's only 3 photos that are nice. I said, of all the 80, only 3. And then he said, there's a bigger problem. I said,
Okay.
it's like, hold on, but wait. It's like, what's the bigger problem? And then he said, out of the 3 photos, there's only 2 that had that Sunsilk. I said, you're joking me. He said, no, I'm not. So I said, I have no time to do another shoot. So I said, just give it to me, and then that's it. So I just said, thank you for your time, like that. So I only had 2 photos. So I sent it. And then all of a sudden, they said I'm one of the finalists.
Wow. Amazing.
And then my brother said, you're crazy. I said, why? Because there's a campaign period. You have to let people know they have to vote for you and like. And during the time, the like button was just new. They just launched the like button. So fortunately, I have students. And I was teaching personality development.
Very good.
And my lesson was, I entitled my lesson, Like and Be Like. Because I told them, how would you know if you're influential? When you put a photo, I said, people should like. And when you tell them to like, that would be your ratio. It's a test, I said. So you have to share my photo. And you also have to like it. And your score will be dependent on the number of likes. Because that's really true.
Yeah.
That's
But
really
it is.
true.
I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that bit. That
Yeah, but I said I'm not lying. That's really true. And because it's your personality. If you tell me, oh my God, you have 5,000 friends, really? Out of those 5,000, how many likes do you get?
Yeah.
So that's a test. I said,
Yeah.
that's exactly the test.
Exactly.
So they said, oh.
Did you win?
So yeah, of course I won. But, okay, there's a but there. Of all the 3 candidates, I'm not the one with the most likes. I'm probably like just the second. But obviously, in their criteria, they said that it's their prerogative who would be the grand prize winner.
Yeah.
So when they asked me which one of the destinations that I would want to go, I said definitely I'd go for Paris. That's the only reason why I joined here. I was so honest with the brand manager. And then, so obviously I got it. Now here's another challenge. They told me that the date that I want was fully booked.
Of course.
Because I found out that the brand manager had to come back to the Philippines on that date after 3 days because the sister will have a wedding. I said that is not my problem. I want to stay in Paris for 2 weeks. So they told me, I think that was the part that they got a bit, angry with me because I said, this is the only date that I want and it's not movable.
Mm.
I'm the winner, so you must follow my date, not your date. And then they said, but the date that you want is fully booked. I said, really? Watch me. So I went to my mentor, Sir Bob. I said, Sir Bob, they said it's fully booked. And he is the PR of Etihad Airways.
Wow.
So
Okay.
he said, he went on his phone, he rang the country manager. The name is Robert Hukom. So he rang Bobby Morocco there. He's now based in Morocco, I think duty free of Morocco. So anyway, he said, Oi, your Miss Sunsilk is here. He said that your flight is fully booked. So he said, you have to confirm the date that she wants. I said, no problem. I got the date that I want.
Wow.
And
There's
when I
getting
arrived there, here's another catch. So I said, so where's the makeover? I found out they did not prepare for it.
Oh.
So just choose any salon you want. I said, really? And then she said, yeah. I said, fine. So our hotel, I forgot the name of the hotel, but it's the one with the 360 view.
Wow.
You know,
Okay.
the one that
Yeah,
goes around, the
yeah,
one
yeah.
with the restaurant, like
Yeah.
that. So, in my mind, I would choose the salon downstairs,
Mm.
the most poshest salon.
Of
So
course.
that's where I went.
Wow.
You win.
You know how much the cut and the color during the time, I think that's 2011, during the time in Paris. You know how much it cost? 350.
Oh wow.
300.
Okay.
350 euros for the
For the cut.
and the color.
Wow. That's still big money.
It is.
So anyway, yeah, sorry, that's me.
No, that's fine. That's interesting. I want to ask from where it's coming. Obviously, all these stories that you're saying, since you finish your education, you jump in your family business and your idea where you want to go, where it comes this drive in you, this confidence, this how is building this? Or it was just natural to you?
I don't know. Probably it's my dad in me,
Okay.
who's always probably like trailblazing, because I remember during the time when he was still alive, because he died in 1992. He has done so much, things. I remember, and a lot of people would say, "Oh, Mel, you're so exag with taking photos." I said, "You haven't seen my dad, you know." For the passport picture, he would waste so much rolls of film
Yeah.
just to get the perfect picture.
Wow.
And I remember he was doing logos, and he would manually cut and paste,
Wow.
like cut the airplane, paste it. And I remember our travel, it's like the letter T is long with the airplane at the end. It was copied by an Old Navy t-shirt that I should
Okay.
have saved it, So my dad is really, I think, really very good in branding and marketing. And even during the time, the logos in the cars, he was one of the first who probably did that in the Philippines.
Wow.
That's why a lot of people would know, ay anak ni Dizon yan. It's like he's the daughter of E.T. Dizon.
Do you think this helped you as well because you were his daughter?
Yeah,
That opened some doors for you, and it was
so obviously in the Philippines, yes, and also in America. So when I traveled, like whenever I mention my name, my surname, they would tell me, "Oh, let's say my uncle was helped by your dad," like that, because during that time, he was really big.
So he was incredibly well connected in the Philippines.
Yes,
really
he
well
is.
connected.
Yeah. And at one point, he ran for senator in 1986. So during the time, there were only 24 senators. Now they do it like 12 at a time.
Okay.
The cycle. I don't know, but I think he was 30. Which was not bad, considering the modest way of doing the elections during the time, and considering the limited resources that we have.
Tell us a bit more about this guy, your mentor. You mentioned.
Oh,
a few
Bobby
times.
Joseph.
Yes.
Yeah,
How
so-
you met him and how he became your mentor.
So he is the founder of we call it NITAS, Network of Independent Travel Agencies. And he said he's always been saying to people that he learned it from my dad. And obviously being a travel agent, we are members of that NITAS,
Network.
that network. And he's very charismatic. And I think probably also, a lot of the things that I am doing, I learned from him. Because he just talks to it, it's just when he just talks to people, they just all say yes to him all the time. It's like, why not, And he would say, oh, I spoke with this guy and this guy, the ambassador of this. They all said yes. So in my mind, if he can do it, then I can do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, and obviously because I'm sort of like shadowing him, and I would always volunteer. And I would also, aside from just taking pictures, I was now also doing the write-ups. I know that my dad also published loads of articles online like that. But obviously, when I don't copy, I tweak it.
Yeah.
So later on, what I did was whenever I have events, I would invite all my vlogger friends, journalist friends, photographer. So they write all about my event. So it's not me publicizing my work, it's someone else.
Yeah.
And obviously they need content, and obviously it's branding. So let's say, oh, I want to go to this resort. So I would send them a message. Do you want to be featured? Blah blah blah. I orchestrate it. They said, yeah, I would bring maybe five of our friends. They would write about you. You would be featured in their column. Blah blah blah. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
So we all have a jolly, all have a good time, and yeah, fun.
I mean, now that happens. I mean, there's so many people, obviously, like on YouTube, traveling around the world, basically, and on the back of their amazing. I mean, they are great storytellers, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? That's exactly what you were doing in the day.
Yeah. So I think and also it's people liking people they want, probably, because I've done so many things, for the community like that. And also my dad, oh my goodness, my dad would give money away during his birthday, during Christmas, like that. The queue outside our house is massive. And they even called my dad like Ninong. Yeah, so I love traveling, and what I do is I try to find opportunities where they give free scholarship or free, I don't know, study tour like that. Because when I was in university, I always hunt for that, and it only takes an essay to get it. And because obviously I have a good academic background, so probably if they would compare my application with other people, I'm on the top end, like that. So the same principle applies to not study tours but scholarship program. And then there was one so my friend from the Austrian Austrian Cultural Society there. So they said, Philippine Austrian Cultural Society. They said, oh, there's a tourism scholarship in Innsbruck. I said, I like that. So how long? He said, just a month. I said, perfect. When? So it's from May to June. So I said, okay. So that's my break from teaching. So I said, oh, I want that. So I said, what's the qualification? And then they said, oh, you must get an endorsement from the Secretary of Tourism. I said, that's easy. So I went to Sir Bob. Sir Bob, because I'm like the Secretary General of the Tourism Educators and Movers Philippines. So I said, Sir Bob, I need an endorsement, and then I already have my pro forma, what they call it, content. So it's up to him if he can tweak it, he can just sign it, but usually he would just sign it because he already knows my sort of like style of writing, blah blah blah. So, but I said I don't just want you to sign it, if you can ring the Secretary of Tourism, Sir Jimenez, I think it was Lito Jimenez, like that. He said, yeah. And then, so he probably rang and then just gave, look for this person in that office and then bring this letter. So I turned up, brought the letter, waited, and then they gave me the endorsement.
Yeah.
So I took a picture, gave it to the honorary consul of Austria, and then smiled. Because I think he didn't know that I would be able to get that.
No, for sure.
Because usually, historically, it was the Department of Tourism staff that they would endorse for that program.
Mm-hmm.
And because I asked for it, a lot of people, they don't get because they fail to ask.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Bible, it says, ask and you shall receive.
Yeah.
Seek and you shall find. And knock and the door will be open. So I ask, seek, and knock all the time.
So this is like your motto always.
Yeah, why not? So why not? Because I always want it to be special. I don't just want it. Oh, they just do it for you, just like that. Can you give a little tweak so to make it, like extra special for you?
But as well, you always give it like back. It's not
Yeah.
always you take.
No,
You always try to
yeah.
do it in like this that you mentioned, collaborative.
Yes.
You always will involve other people and to make it bigger and better, which is great. When you find time for yourself, how you find time for yourself?
I enjoy. I enjoy doing loads of things. So actually, 2 weeks, was it 2 weeks ago? Yeah, I think sort of like 2 weeks ago, I said, oh gosh, I have my period. My brain is not working. I'm not feeling very well, I said. So I said, I'm going to sew. So I sewed this. So this is actually, this one is made from my ripped jeans. So
Okay.
it got ripped on this part.
Mm-hmm.
So I made this. This is the leg part
Yeah.
of the jeans, and the top part I used in another costume. But I will show it to you probably later after this show, because I used it for the Filipino variety show. So it looked like a choker,
Oh.
like that. So the pocket is here.
Yeah.
So it connected the sleeves. But I was using for that, I was using the same material, but it had like window. It looked like a lattice,
Tell us a bit more about this.
So this
sleeves.
one, the style of these sleeves is, they call it traje de mestiza. So it originated from the Spanish colonization era in the Philippines. And the lady that made this famous is, of course, our first lady, Imelda Romualdez Marcos, who is the mother of our current president, Bongbong Marcos.
Okay.
Sometimes they call it the Imelda sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously this one, I just bought it from Vinted, maybe 3 pounds, I think, plus
Wow.
everything. So I just simply cutted it because it was really big for me.
Mm.
So it says size 8, but it doesn't look size 8. So I said I'm not happy with that. So I had to cut it and then put bias binding here and then bias binding here, and then I said I'm gonna attach the sleeves. And
but even this is complete
Creativity.
creativity and skill set as well. So you learn all about dressmaking and making as well.
Yeah,
just
so
having a
in
go?
the Philippines, when I was young, toys, we only have Barbies, like that. The stuffed toys or the plush toys, we call it today, we had them, but if it's made in the Philippines, the stuffing, oh my goodness, is newspaper. It looks horrible. So I told my mom, I want to create what they call it, stuffed toys.
Mm-hmm.
So she put an advert on the buy and sell ad tutorial, because there was this program for sewing or dressmaking, but you have to go to a building that looks old. So she said, "Oh, you're not going to that building. You just learn it at home." So she paid a tutor to teach me how to create the toys. But obviously, I already know basic, like sewing probably at the age of
Okay.
8.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's been a long time since I last started sewing again. It was only when a program launched by, her name is Leah Thorne. She's an over 50 sort of like artist supporting eco fashion, and
Okay.
she's against fast fashion.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So she had this program teach you how to sew, basic sewing like that. So I attended it, and I was so happy because it sort of like rekindled my love for sewing. And yeah,
Well,
I
that's
think that
great.
was 2 years
Okay.
or last year.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
But
it's
that's
very
great to
recent.
have that creativity and to, yes, just to use it, because obviously you're creating lots of things around you. You never stop. What is
No.
next for you? What is the
What
next
is next?
big thing that you've got on your plan?
I'll tell you a nice story. So this week, or last week, I found out that because I attended the Folkestone Community Forum. So there's a guy there, his name is Matthew Jones. He sent me an email. And then he said, "Did you know that there's a Filipino who died in France and he's a war hero?" It's like, oh my God. I studied history, but I don't know him.
Hmm.
But he mentioned the name there.
Okay.
So I had to Google him. So now, and then it says there, the letter says we have to sort of like, celebrate because it's memorial, Remembrance Day. And then he said that bring lantern. So I said, oh my goodness, lantern. We only have Filipino lantern. So I created a Filipino lantern because our lantern is made from, the gift tissue. It's like we call it Japanese paper.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So I said it's not good with the weather, or
Mm.
if it rains, it will just,
Are these
deteriorate.
like the lanterns where they put the candle in?
Yes,
Floats on?
yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes. So I said, okay, to make it, I always want it to be different. So I made a parol. So in the Philippines, a parol is like the Christmas lantern.
Mhm.
But obviously, I chose the color red for Remembrance Day.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I found a plastic envelope with the black lock,
Yeah.
like
Okay.
that,
Okay.
snap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I used it and then created a lantern using barbecue sticks.
Wow.
Wow.
And then I put the little candle inside. So yeah, and then obviously I had no idea. I just remembered because in Facebook my friend posted, he made a giant parol. It's like a giant lantern as big as his garage.
Wow.
Mm.
It's like, oh my goodness. And then so I checked how he made it, and then it sort of like brought the memory. I know how to make it now. So I just made a star out of it. I even used, because it's the edges of the barbecue stick can be, the tip is a bit sharp,
Mhm.
Okay.
and it's hard to put them together like that because you
Mm.
have to make it like star, you
Mm.
see.
Mm.
So I was thinking, what material could I use to make it join together? So I used straw.
Oh, and to put them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I cut the
together.
paper straw and then I curved it. Later
Yeah.
I will
And just make it as little
Wow.
joiners.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
It's
that
really
will
cool.
make it very
so
special
next
thing.
week,
Wow.
when we attend that event in Folkestone,
Mm.
and I also tapped the Filipino community, so they would be joining me, bringing the Philippine flag with us, and because this is also um to let other Filipinos know that this guy, this Private Thomas Mateo Claudio, died
Yes.
in the war. He
Wow.
was the first Filipino to die in
Wow.
the war overseas.
Wow.
So yeah. So there's a reason for us to really go out there,
Mhm.
and
Incredible.
remember his life.
So was that in the First World War or the Second World
This
War?
the First World
First
War.
World War.
I also asked my other Filipino friends if they knew about him. A lot of them, they said no, but there was only one, I think, she's a bit older than me. She's more senior than me. She's a grandmother. And then she said it was part of their entrance exam, like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So, it's like there should be a campaign,
Yeah,
to recognize him
Yeah,
as
yeah.
the first Filipino overseas war hero.
Yeah, yeah.
Is the Filipinos community big here? At
Yeah.
least in Kent or...
Yeah. So we have within our group, we have the Kent Filipino community, but I'm the one sort of like spearheading the Folkestone and Hythe Filipino community network.
Mm.
And the reason why I got involved there is because I was vocal. It's like, how can you call the Folkestone festivals a multicultural event without any Filipinos?
Hmm.
So last year, they gave us 30 minutes. So I had 5 Filipino performers. This year, they gave us 2 hours.
Wow.
I had 20
Wow.
done.
performers.
So were they
Wow.
singing? 'Cause
Yeah, they were singing, they were dancing,
Dancing.
some were doing gymnastics. There was one doing belly dancing, like that.
Oh,
So next year, on the 7th of June, they now gave me a full day.
wow.
And obviously, I was pouring the Filipino gin and the Filipino rum.
Yeah. Wow.
So whenever I get the chance to sort of like do an event, it's not the average Filipino community fiesta or Filipino fiesta,
Mm.
because I cater to the greater British majority.
Mm.
Because I told the Filipinos, it's pointless. It's pointless to showcase our culture to fellow Filipinos.
Hmm.
Why would you spend a lot of money?
Mm.
Showcasing the Philippine cultural dance, and when we ourselves, we already know how to do it,
Mm. Mm.
So I said, what's the point? It's not that I'm being critical to them.
Mm.
It's just that, hello,
Being
if
real.
you want to showcase it to the right audience.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
that is what I am currently doing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm very fortunate that our MP of all places, that's what my partner would always say, of all places in the UK, Folkestone, really. Yeah, I said that there's a reason for that. Maybe because I'm here. I said,
Maybe, yeah, you never know. Absolutely.
so
Very
yeah,
good.
so his name is Tony Vaughan. He is the Labour MP. So it was a really historic win. Because traditionally, Folkestone and Hythe has always been a conservative area.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's now the first time that we have a Labour MP, and he's the first British MP of Filipino heritage. And we are so proud. I mean, I was so proud.
Mm.
When the moment when they announced that he won, so my partner woke me up. He said, "Ay, Tony Von won." I said, "Oh my God!" I said he won, like that, as if I won.
Yeah, but this is it.
Yeah.
When we cheer, when we cheer for other people's success, we
Yeah.
are kind of happy as well.
We always,
isn't it?
we always acknowledge people and that's
Sharing
most
the
sharing
happiness
So
love.
maybe
Yeah.
he should be invited.
Maybe,
He's
yeah.
more than welcome
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you want.
Yeah.
Is there obviously, yeah, you mentioned your dad, your mentor, all these people play that vital role for you. Is there anything that, if you can say to your younger self, you would say to change, or you loved what you've done?
Basically, I have no regrets with my life. But if I were to sort of like tell my younger self, obviously I would tell, oh, you should not get married. You should not have kids at an early age. But I don't regret it, But if only I could tell my younger self that, I would, because obviously no one gave me any advice.
No.
The advice that I receive, if you want to see your children grow old, you marry young. Because I felt during the time my dad passed away when I was 12, and he was already old during the time. He was
Oh.
considered like my grandfather because my mom had me, she was already 34, and my dad was older. So I felt that because they were an older couple, it's like growing up, I was robbed of that
Yeah,
fathership.
yeah.
But anyway, other than that, I don't
And
don't.
obviously take photos wherever you
Yeah,
feel,
yeah.
however you feel.
Yes.
Don't listen when
So now
someone
I
tells you.
always yeah, that interestingly you said that, because if there was one advice that I would tell also myself, I would just want to listen to my gut feel.
Mm.
Because if I listen to another person and that person's decision was wrong, I would be the one suffering it.
Mm.
And if I listen to my gut feel and I'm right, I'm also the one who's gonna suffer or benefit from it.
Yeah.
So it's better for me to take my own stand for my own decision, because it's for my own good.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
So there, and obviously, I always would want to learn from people who already made it successfully,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because I don't believe in people, make you money like that. Okay, are you rich? You know.
Yeah.
Here is the point where everybody, whoever comes here, we talk about that. Everybody can see success different.
Yeah.
And luckily, most of the people being here, they never said that the money are the
That's never the
most
motivator.
important
Yeah, no,
motivator.
no.
Because fair enough, money can come and go.
Hmm.
But I really admire all these amazing people that you've got around you, the networks that you create, and all that you do is just incredible.
The success is a
Very
real legacy.
colorful life, I would say you've got.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you.
And we wish you all the best, and hopefully have all your strength to keep doing all this. And hopefully we
And remember, you must ask,
Always.
seek, and knock.
Yeah.
And always, I think it's always me, whatever challenge that I also face, I always look at the bright side, because there was an event in my life. I lost my job as teaching. I did well. I said I really did well. It's like my evaluation was skyrocketing, but because they don't like me, the admin didn't like me, because they said she doesn't wear shoes, she doesn't wear close shoes, and whatever I wear apparently is not business. So I don't understand what they mean by that, But anyway, looking back, I'm very thankful for them,
Yeah.
because otherwise I should have been stuck there.
Yeah.
So I always now tell people experiencing, I call it crossroads, or they're down, Mel, I lost my job. I said you should be very happy,
Yeah.
because it means an opportunity is coming,
Absolutely.
and you should be ready for that.
Yeah.
And whenever, let's say, I feel sad, I always tell myself I should not feel sad, because I know that if something negative happens to me, there's a positive thing that would happen.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that.
So that's me. Thank you.
Excellent.
Lovely.
Oh, well, thank you, Mel. Thank you so much for giving us your time this morning and sharing.
Thank you.
And all these vibes and energy, absolutely lovely. Yes.
So we want to thank Mel for coming this morning and to sharing our story. Today's quite a special day for us as well, because it's, I think, exactly 1 year to the day since we
Wow.
conceived Beyond Our Dreams.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you very much, Mel. So we hope you enjoyed this morning's episode. Please do, if you're watching on YouTube, please do give us a like. As Mel said earlier, it's really important. So if you could give us a like, that would be amazing. If you could subscribe to the channel as well, we'd really appreciate it. If you're listening and watching on Spotify, please do give us a follow. Thank you very much for watching today. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.